They say that if the moon is full and the wind's blowing, you can hear the sound of bells coming from deep beneath the surface of Colemere. Beside the lake's an old yew tree, and yew trees are often found in sacred places. Here was a place where druids gathered and ceremonies were held to mark the passage of the seasons. Long ago, the villagers wanted to claim the place for the Christian faith, and they commissioned the building of a chapel. Work was started. There was Ted, the foreman, carpenters, joiners, a stonemason, and the apprentice, Billy. First day's work had gone well. The wooden frame was in place, as were the roof timbers. The bells had been delivered on site, ready to be fitted into the oak tower due to be built the next day. That night there was a fearful shouting, banging and hollering from down by the lake. No one dared go and see who or what was down there. Pagan demons? Perhaps the devil himself, although they never would have used his name out loud. That had been much too risky. In the morning, when they went down to look, the new chapel had been broken apart. Materials were scattered here and there. No, we're not going to be beaten. Foreman Ted sent Billy to seek out more people to help. Billy was a cheerful lad, bit talkative, but you couldn't help liking him. He went to the farm, and the farmer and the farmhands came willingly enough. They worked harder than ever that day to build the chapel. If they were able to get the roof installed before nightfall, it would officially be a building. The minister would be able to consecrate it, and old Nick, or whoever it was, wouldn't dare come near it. But the days, it seems, are never long enough, and as the light faded, they had no choice but to leave the nearly completed chapel for the night. Sure enough, in the middle of the night, wailing, banging and screeching started once more. The villagers stayed in their beds. They pulled the blankets up over their heads, and in the morning all that was left was rubble, debris, timber strewn everywhere, and the bells waiting patiently for their tower to be built. That third day, Billy was sent to find every able-bodied helper for miles around. There were loads of them, which may have been a mistake. Some were more hindrance than a help. The sun went down, the chapel's roof wasn't quite ready, and they had to down tools. It was the night of a full moon, and the wind was blowing. There was the shrieking, shouting, wailing, howling like a banshee. And again, in the morning, it was a demolition site. But worse this time. The bells had gone. There were scrape marks down the bank where they'd been dragged. They'd clearly been thrown into the mere. Bells are expensive, and what's a chapel without bells? The villagers gave up that site down by the yew tree. In time, a church was built instead of the chapel, and you'll see it to this day, up on the hill instead. But the bells were too valuable to leave at the bottom of the mere. Ted and Billy borrowed a boat. They took chains and grappling hooks to drag the bottom of the lake. Day after day they dragged those hooks and finally snagged something heavy, too heavy for the two of them to lift, so Ted used the opportunity to teach Billy about the physics of levers and fulcrums. They built an ingenious A-frame lever resting on the bottom of the lake. A nearly horizontal pull from the bank would pivot the frame upwards, creating a nearly vertical pull from the lake bed. Billy was sent to bring the farmer and his team of oxen. The oxen were yoked to a chain, the chain attached to the lever, and the lever attached by another chain to the bells down below. The oxen pulled slowly, the A-frame swung upwards, and the bells rose. You could see those bells just below the surface now, and Billy was beside himself with excitement. "We've done it! We've done it! In spite of God and the devil, we've done it!" Too late. The devil's name had been said out loud. There was a rending crack. The chain snapped. The oxen stumbled forwards. The lever swung over and splashed into the water, and where the bells had been, a few bubbles rose to the surface. No one went near those bells again. They haven't been seen from that day to this. But at night, if the moon is full and the wind is blowing, it's said that you can hear the sound.